So in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to paint colored glass. So to start off, just go to the link down in the description and download this picture, and then open it up into Photoshop. And the first color we're going to do is orange. So to color in orange glass, we're going to go over to this plus icon in the right corner of your Photoshop page and just make a new layer. And then we're going to go to a pure orange color, as saturated as it can be. So that just means it's at the very tip of this triangle. We're just going to do maybe like a in-between orange, so it's not too red and not too yellow. And then with a medium-sized brush, we're going to go 30% opacity. So you can just do that by hitting the 3 on your keyboard. And we're going to paint in the back windows of this lantern in one pass. So one pass means you don't lift up your brush, because if you lift up your brush and then paint again, it's going to paint it in like 30% over top of another 30%, and that's not what we want. Then with the eraser, so just hit the E on your keyboard, we're going to erase just the places where the back windows aren't. So we're going to erase the places on our candle, and if you erase too far like that, you can just do Control Z and it will go back. And also, if there's a place that you erase too far, you can also just color pick the color that's the right color with that 30% orange over top and just blend in and color in the place where you erased too far. Because sometimes you can't be perfect. So like on this candle, I can color pick the white and color in the white and color pick the colors around it and just kind of blend it in if it's too difficult to get perfectly erased where it needs to be. I'm just going along with my eraser tool, just right at the edge of the windows. So it's just the back windows, so even up here I'm going to erase this little area because we're not painting the front windows, we're painting the back windows. If we were painting this front window, I wouldn't be erasing this part because that's behind the front windows. And then just to touch up the windows, you can just color pick that color that 30% orange gave you over this blue and just touch up the edges of those windows, because you want to make sure you paint in your back windows all the way before you start your front windows. It's usually easier than having to go back later. Okay, so once you got your back windows in, you got the places where it's supposed to be erased. You can usually check this pretty good by just clicking this icon on your layer and just going back and forth to make sure there's no places that still have that orange on it where there shouldn't be. And then we're going to make a new layer and we're going to paint our front windows with pure saturated orange. So we're just going to make our brush bigger, and at 30% opacity we're going to paint in our front windows in one pass. You just want to keep your pencil on your paper so that it doesn't build up on itself. And then with an eraser tool, you can go through and erase the places where your front windows aren't. So in this case, you're going to keep the place where it covers the candle and covers everything inside, because your front windows cover those areas. So I'm just going through my erase tool, and if I mess up, I can just color pick and touch up those little corners that you erase too far into, or you can just backspace your eraser and try to erase it more carefully the next time. So it's pretty simple to quickly add some color to your glass. Let's do that little eye trick where you just go back and forth, hiding and then making your layer visible again to see if there's any places that you need to erase. So up here I missed a spot, and actually missed a spot down here on my last layer. So after you got your front windows in, the last thing we're going to do is to add a little flare to this candle, because as long as this glass is just colored and it's not dirty, it's not going to affect this bright candle flame as much as it is. So we're just going to make a new layer, and we're going to just change it to a white color. And with this white color, we're going to color in this candle flame again, because we don't want it that orange color, because that will make our glass look dirty, not tinted orange. And then we can also add a yellow flare to it, because when orange glass gets lit up, it's going to turn into a little bit more yellow color. So with a really soft brush, you can paint in this yellow flare right by the candle, or the flame of the candle, and then paint in that white again. And this is just going to make your candle look like it's glowing brighter and that your glass isn't dirty and dingy. You kind of tell the difference there just by hiding and making your layer visible again. So that's about it. So we're just going to hide all these layers. Just click those little eye icons, and we're going to make a new layer. And with this new layer, we're going to make some blue glass. So we're just going to do the same thing as we did before, but with a blue color. So just choose whatever blue you want. I'm just going to do a blue that's in between cyan and dark blue. And I'm going to go to full brightness, just like I did with the orange. And then make my brush bigger and go to 30% opacity. And then with the single pass, I'm just going to color in my back windows without lifting up my brush on the same window at least. And then I'm going to go to my eraser tool by hitting the E on my keyboard. And I'm going to erase the places where I don't want that blue, where my back windows aren't. So this is the back window, so I'm going to erase along this edge and this edge, because those are in front of the windows. And I'm also going to erase the candle, because that's in front of the glass that's in the back. So after you got your back windows in, we're just going to make the front windows now. So just go to that same blue color, that bright blue cyan color, and we're going to go to 30% opacity. So just hit the 3 on your keyboard, and just with one pass, we're going to paint in the front windows. So you can lift up your brush in between windows, but just don't lift up your brush while painting the same window. And that will ensure that you don't build up the layers of opacity. So with an eraser tool now, you can just go through and erase the places that the front windows shouldn't be over. So this is very similar to how you do the orange, it's just a different color. So color glass will usually look the best if you do it in full brightness, and other than that, it doesn't really matter what color you do. It's just whatever looks good on your painting, what color you want. And then if you erase too far, you can just color pick and then paint in those colors. So let's do that little trick where we hide and show our layer, just so that we can see again if there's anything we missed with erasing. It's looking pretty good. Just a few little areas. So after you got your front windows in, we're going to do the same thing and do a little color flare around the candle that we did with the orange windows or glass. So with this one, I'm just going to lock the transparency. So it's just this little checker box. I probably should have did this with the orange as well, because if you add a flare around the candle, it's going to make it more opaque as well. And you don't want it to be more opaque. You just want to change the color around the candle. So, back with the orange one, it might be a good idea to just paint on the same layer, but have it locked in transparency. And then I'm going to pick a green color, because with the orange we painted a yellow color, because when orange glass is getting lit up by yellow light, it's just going to turn more yellow. But if blue glass is getting lit up by yellow light, it's going to turn green, because blue and yellow mixed together makes a green color. So we're going to go to 30% opacity, and with this locked transparency, we're going to just make some of this blue glass a green color. Let's actually go at 10% just so we can build up to it really slowly and not put too much. Just a tiny bit of green, and then we can make a new layer and add white to the candle again, just like we did with the orange. So there's not that blue tint over, or that green tint over the bright flame of the candle. That just adds a tiny bit more realism to it. And then just for the final thing, I'm just going to add just a tiny bit more yellow. And this is just going to be an over top layer so that it can go over the candle just a little bit and below the candle. That's just going to add just a tiny bit more color, like this candle is really lighting up the area inside. You can see that subtle difference. So I hope this video helped you to better understand how to paint color glass in Photoshop. I have more videos on glass on my channel, so if you're interested, feel free to check those out as well. See you next time!